What's up everyone? So today we're kind of turning up the heat a bit. I'm playing some Mono Fire. It's a very popular type, one I was a bit unsure about doing. I want to get all the types done, but I meant mainly unsure because I'm just not sure how to play Mono Fire. So I really decided to think outside the box with this team and kind of come up with my own unique twist on a kind of heavily pivoting fire team. So in this team, we're going to have Cinderace. Cinderace is going to be one of my main offensive presence on the team. With Libero, it can change type and remove its weakness to water, remove its weakness to ground, rock. All these kind of things are super important, as well as bringing much needed priority in Sucker Punch. High Jump Kick is great for taking care of rock types, like Tyranitar, which can give my team a lot of trouble. And finally, Pyro Ball is just generally a strong move, especially boosted in the sun. Bulk Up, as well as that, allows me to change type to fighting type to live a lot of things like Earthquake, for example. I can change into a fighting type, meaning I'm no longer weak to ground or rock, and increase my defense to live a stage. So while its bulk is quite poor at 186 and 301, it can still live hits quite nicely thanks to Bulk Up. I went with Leftovers over Life Orb. Life Orb offers a more immediate power, but Leftovers gives the longevity I think is really needed on this team, especially because it is weak to Stealth Rocks. Next up we have Volcarona. Volcarona is going to be the first of many heavy duty boots users, and Volcarona is going to be my special setup sweeper. You can see right away it does not have any fire moves, which can be a bit of trouble, but it is nice to deal with things like Toxapex with Psychic. Giga Drain is great against water teams, and Bug Buzz is just generally strong stab on things that fire can't hit, which my team has a lot of fire moves anyway, so I feel comfortable enough doing that. Flame Body is good for spreading hopefully burns on moves that make contact. Heavy Duty Boots is self-explanatory, I don't think I need to explain that. It's for not taking damage against Stealth Rocks, which it would ordinarily take 50%. EV wise, we are Modest. Modest hits so hard. At +1, it kills a surprising amount of things, like I believe it can kill Pelipper with Giga Drain, which is neutral and not even stab. It can kill Bisharp, I believe, with Bug Buzz. I think it can kill Urshifu with Bug Buzz. It's just generally very strong, great against like the Dark matchup, for example. It doesn't necessarily need the extra speed, because after 2 Quiver Dances, I will outspeed most of the 2 who aren't speed boosted. Next up we have Torkoal. Torkoal is kind of going to be my team support with a rapid spin to remove hazards. These aren't too big of an issue for my team. As you see, I will run a lot of heavy duty boots, but it's good to remove things like Sticky Web or Stealth Rock for things like Cinderace or Charizard, who generally hate those. We have Drought, of course, to override opponents' rain, to override hail or sandstorm with my own Sun. So Sun will weaken water damage, which is one of my main answers to water teams, as well as boosting up the power of all my fire moves, which is super important. Stealth Rock is then just nice for chip damage, breaking things like Stash or Sturdy, because my team doesn't really have any multi-hit moves. Again, next Yawn is for team support, just being able to kind of spread sleeps or kind of force out unfavorable matchups who do not want to sleep, or Pokemon who can set up in my face. And finally we have Lava Plume, just generally quite nice in the sun, as well as being able to spread burn with 30%. Next up we have Charizard. So Charizard is basically a Choice Scarf and Choice Specs in one, thanks to Solar Power. When it's in the sun, it gets a boost of 1.5 times to its special attack. Unfortunately, this is at the cost of 1/8 of its HP every turn, which does mean it does not have great longevity, especially because it takes damage from coming on Stealth Rocks. However, due to the basically specs damage it does, Fire Blast becomes an absolutely so powerful in the sun, thanks to being stab, sun boosted, as well as boosted by Solar Power. Next up we have Solar Beam, pairs well with Solar Power in the sun. This is a nice answer to water types, which should give my team trouble. Air Slash is nice stab, not the strongest, but it can flinch, which is nice because of Charizard's surprising speed tier of 100. It outspeeds a lot of key Pokemon like Darmanitan and Urshifu. I'd find we have Dragon Pulse, which is just for Dragon matchup, which can give my team trouble. So you might be thinking, Charizard got Hurricane this generation. One Hurricane over Air Slash is a lot stronger, which it is, but unfortunately Hurricane's accuracy is reduced in Sun to 50%, I believe. So it makes it even more unreliable, so I'm not going to rely on that. Air Slash is a lot weaker, but has better accuracy and can flinch, so I'll run with that instead. Next up we have Arcanine. Arcanine is going to be one of my pivots. That should be minus special attack, not special defense. So Arcanine is going to be one of my pivots on the team. So what this does is it kind of comes in and intimidates. With heavy duty boots, it does not care about entry hazards at all. It can take those nicely. So it can come in and intimidate an important threat, like a physical sweeper, for example. And with this max defense, max HP, it can live attacks quite nicely. With Morning Sun, it can recover most of its HP back in a sun, which is super important for longevity. Flare Blitz is generally just a nice stab move, again being sun boosted, and extreme speed is super important for late game sweeps or late game pickoffs, picking things that could be like Sash or Sturdy or just really low HP. Extreme speed can pick those off. And finally, we do have Teleport. Teleport is fantastic because I can take up a physical attack and I can teleport into something like Volcarona or Cinderace or Charizard, who's not too keen on taking a physical attack. So basically, for those of you who don't know, Teleport lets you take any hit and swap out, I believe it's at a -6 priority. So Arcanine can take the hit after Intimidate and swap into something, or I can see what they swap into as an answer to Arcanine and swap into something as an answer to them. So it's super cool tech, which hopefully you'll be able to see here in the video. And finally, we do have Incineroar. Incineroar is another pivot of mine, but Incineroar is going to be my specially defensive pivot. So this was max special defense and max HP, which can live quite a lot of attacks. It doesn't have great longevity outside of Drain Punch, which is nice for taking care of things like Steel types or Tyranitar, for example, or other Dark types. Knockoff is great team support, being able to knock off things like Eviolites, leftovers, anything that can give my team trouble. Parting Shot is where its pivoting comes in, so it can give you quite a slow pivot. It comes in, it intimidates, it soaks up a hit and it parting shots into a Pokemon, for example Volcarona or Cinderace, who can then set up. So what Parting Shot does is lowers the attack and special attack, making the Pokemon much weaker, especially after Intimidate, allowing one of my setup Pokemon to set up in their face. And finally, Toxic is just generally nice for being able to spread status effects on especially walls like Mandibles, which my team can struggle with. So that's going to be the team today. We're going to pause there and hopefully find some good games. So luckily we have another game against Mono Steel, which again definitely works in my favour, but things like Excadrill can still be a massive issue for me, as well as Duraludon can be annoying too. So I think we open up Incineroar here, as it gives me a decent neutral matchup to kind of everything they can open up with, letting me knock off or just Parting Shot around the place. So they open up Bronzong as usual, and I will just knock off here, getting as much damage off of this as possible. And my team doesn't particularly care about Stealth Rocks because of heavy duty boots. They go hard Bisharp. Interesting play. I will Drain Punch here, which should get the KO. Nice. So they give me Bisharp quite early on. Excadrill is definitely an issue for me, especially if they start clicking Swords down to my face. So I will go Arcanine, as I believe Arcanine can live a single Earthquake, thanks to Intimidate. As they Rock Slide, they get the crit unfortunately, but I can Morning Sun, assuming this is Scarfed. Nice. So I'm going to go hard Incineroar here. I do not want my Arcanine getting Toxic. As they go straight for Stealth Rock, that's okay with me because again, I just knock off into Corviknight. Based on the fact that it is not pressure, I'm assuming it's Mirror Armor. It is Mirror Armor, but I do believe I still get to bounce out here. I do. So this thing needs to go as soon as possible. So I feel Torkoal might play here, and again roll for Burdens of Lava Plume. It's not specially defensive, meaning it does take a ton of damage from Lava Plume. They can go for Body Press, but it honestly doesn't do much damage. So this does open up their Excadrill. I always go an Arcanine here, knowing this is Scarfed. And if they Earthquake, I go Charizard and get a KO. As they go Bronzong, they might be Heatproof. They are Heatproof. They are certainly Heatproof based on that damage. So I think here I want to knock off again. What is presumably a Light Clay. This makes Excadrill kind of annoying in the late game for me now, unfortunately. But I can kind of stall out turns of their screens here. That and Cinderace is really good in the end game again. So this thing has no attacks. I'm going to yawn here. And I kind of value getting rid of the Stealth Rocks with Rapid Spin. Nice. So they are asleep, which means they'll slowly give me this, hopefully. As I wall out their turns. Please don't get a one-turn wake up again. Okay. I need you to sleep for one more turn. So my play here is actually to Rapid Spin in case they wake up, as I am faster. My bad, I did not pay attention to that. So I actually deserve those Stealth Rocks on my side of the field, because that was a very bad play on my part. So I don't want anything too important being toxic, as they can take out Excadrill here. Thankfully I'm in the position where Charizard should live at 1 HP. So I will sack my Incineroar to an Earthquake. I'll get an Arcanine and go hard Charizard. If they go in to Aegislash, great play. As they go into Duraludon, Fire Blast should do a chunk of damage to this. And at +1, that did a ton of damage. They could be Scarfed. I think now's my best chance to try set up Volcarona. They don't get a power, thankfully. Now, unfortunately, I don't actually have much to threaten the likes of Aegislash or Excadrill on the set. But they don't know that. A Psychic here should KO. As they go in Aegislash. They Shadow Sneak, unfortunately don't get the burn here. But it does let me Morning Sun in their face. Actually, yeah, I'm Morning Sun. Shadow Ball does a ton. I think I sack my Arcanine here. So the reason I'm sacking Arcanine here is I want to be able to try and bulk up with Cinderace to win the game, though Shadow Ball might KO me from this position. As they go for a King Shield. So the fact they're not Specs makes me think I live a hit. As I get the KO there. And in this position, despite the fact I'm +1, I think 2 Sucker Punches KO here. This is a close one. I could risk a Pyro Ball, but I'm going to go for 2 Sucker Punches. Yeah, they will KO, and I should live the Earthquake. Nice, so if I didn't go for that, the Earthquake would have KO'd. I could have calced that, but I decided to risk it, and it paid off, so that was a good game, and I'll pause till I find another one. So we have a game against Mono Fairy, and this matchup can be quite tough. Aurora Veil and Ninetales gives my team trouble, as well as that Azumarill and Primarina just generally are very strong on my team. So I definitely have to play this one quite carefully. And here I think I open up with Incineroar as they go Primarina turn 1. So we are the exact same speed tier. And I will go for a Parting Shot as they go into Comfy. So I definitely have to play this carefully. Unfortunately, I have no steel or poison moves, so I kind of just have to attack this thing with my strongest Pokemon. So what I'm going to do is try to get a Stealth Rock down, and then force it out with some yawns as they trick me. That's interesting, I didn't know they had trick. So I get Charizard out here and kind of just click Fire Blast, which should do a chunk of damage on absolutely anything coming in. As I click Echoed Voice. That's interesting tech. So Fire Blast, yeah, I was going to say if it doesn't KO it, it's very close to a KO. Now I have to worry about a Azumarill clicking Belly Drum here, which can really destroy my team. So I have to play quite carefully around that. If Ninetales comes in, I can pretty much always get out my Torkoal and override its Hail. So Azumarill comes in here. They might Aqua Jet if so, good play, but I have to Fire Blast here to stop it getting up a Belly Drum as soon as possible. So I just can't let this thing set up in my face. That said, Primarina is still a huge issue to my team, especially if it is a Specs variant. So hopefully they don't Aqua Jet here, but it might not KO thanks to the Sun reducing Water's damage. Mimikyu is another issue for my team. Just because of its disguise, it's kind of annoying to break, so between Arcanine and Incineroar, the intimidating duo, I can definitely do some work against that. So my game plan here is to Fire Blast. If they Belly Drum, it should put them in range of Extreme Speed afterwards. Even with Citrus Berry, Fire Blast is just very strong in the Sun. So my opponent did disconnect, so it's kind of touch or go if they will come back. As they do come back, and click Aqua Jet, which does kill, leading me to believe that is actually banded damage. So I'll go into Torkoal here and pivot into Arcanine to get the Intimidate boost off. I believe in the Sun after an Intimidate I should live an Aqua Jet. And I think that is banded to be able to win a KO Charizard in the Sun. So they go hard Ninetales, which means I always get out my Torkoal back out again and kind of just click Lava Plume. If they go in Primarina, that can be an issue for me, but I value the Sun up here so much. As I go for Grudge. Interesting play, but I Lava Plume here anyway. I really don't care that my Lava Plume ran out of PP, because it puts me in the position now where I keep out Sun for as long as possible, which I need for the likes of Azumarill and Primarina. So I'm worried Primarina is Specs. That could be difficult for me, but if so, Cinderace, should be able to deal nicely with it, especially in the Sun. As well as that, Togekiss can just generally be an issue for me. Being able to Air Flinch hacks me, which seems to be exactly what they're going for. So I go Incineroar here to try knock off their Scarf. Or do I Parting Shot? I try Parting Shot here, as I nicely get it off, and that's very handy. I think I take out Arcanine and click Flare Blitz, which kind of just does a lot of damage to anything they go into, assuming I don't get flinched to death here, which it looks like I'm going to be. How much did it do? 29 on Incineroar. So unfortunately here I have to rely on Extreme Speed, I think, which doesn't do too much damage. And I kind of want Arcanine to remain alive. They miss an Air Slash, which is super important for me, as this lets me intimidate Azumarill again more in the endgame. So the endgame became difficult for me, but I do think Cinderace is super important. To be able to use Libero to change off my Fire type, hopefully allow me to live Aqua Jets, especially in the Sun. So Primarina is definitely the biggest issue for me, as they go Mimikyu, presumably wanting to Swords Dance in my face, which is exactly what they go for. I'll go for a Parting Shot here, and try getting Torkoal and just yawn this. So yawn puts me in an okay position where I can kind of just keep forcing out my opponent as they stay in. That's okay, I'm willing to sack Torkoal here. Or am I? So they let me sleep their Mimikyu. I have to play this endgame carefully. So what I'll do is Intimidate and try go for a Morning Sun, which should almost fully heal me. So this definitely isn't an easy endgame, and Shadow Claw probably still does a ton of damage on me. At plus 3 stages. As they wake up turn 1, that's annoying, but we have to make do with that. So I'll try Intimidate again. I expect maybe a Drain Punch to come out as they go Play Rough. So that's unfortunate. That turn 1 Awakening was annoying. Maybe Pyro Ball can burn here. That would be big for me. As it does not, and Shadow Claw will get the KO. So unfortunately that looks like it's going to be game. Volcarona was important in the endgame, but I have to rely on them getting burnt here, turn 1, for my Flame Body, which they don't. It turns out I wouldn't have lived 2 Shadow Sneaks anyway. GG. So that was a close one, but unfortunately did not go in my favour, but I will pause till I find another one. So we have a game against Mono Ice, which in theory should be super easy, but Cloyster in general gives my team a lot of hassle. Though I love Charizard's speed here in this game. I think I open up Incineroar, as I can kind of just get an Intimidate off anything in the beginning. I'll knock off this, get rid of its EVO light, which will help me a lot in the late game. And here I just Toxic whatever comes out. They stay into Earthquake, which is not too much of an issue, as I will Parting Shot. Into my Torkoal, as they roar out my Charizard. Great play. So unfortunately this means I kind of have to stay in with Charizard. I miss Fire Blast. Though they do look like they're going to give me Ninetales, which is great for me. So unfortunately I think I value Charizard's speed here too much in this game. Torkoal can thankfully survive this, and I can Rapid Spin away the hazards, which is important for keeping my Charizard alive in the late game. Again, Cinderace is great in this game. I get my own hazards down here. They are slowly chipping me away with Whirlpool, so I can't swap out, but I value my hazards a lot in this game. I will yawn them. Unfortunately I do lose Sun in this game, but as well they lost their Hail, so it's not all bad for me. This thing's quite annoying. But they may have given me an opportunity to start setting up with Volcarona. I'll try it. They might be a Toxic variant, which can be trouble for me, or they could be Perish Song. I'll Quiver Dance again, as they are indeed Quiver Dance, a Perish Song. So expecting maybe a Protect to come out here. I'll Quiver Dance into a Giga Drain. So this is nice for me, so I should get a KO here regardless. I'll just Bug Buzz, it's neutral on everything. That Lapras is going to be a pain for me, but Incineroar should be able to kind of just knock off and Drain Punch around, as well as pivot with the likes of Parting Shot. So nothing particularly likes a Bug Buzz here. Kind of just gets a KO on any member of the team. as they give me Pillow Swine. I'll go in Charizard as its speed tier is very valuable, as they go in Avalugg, presumably wanting to rapid spin away the hazards. I'll Air Slash as it will 2-hit KO, and the flinch could mean the world of difference for me, which unfortunately I don't get. I think I still value Charizard to be able to deal with Darmanitan in the endgame, and I like Toxic and Lapras a lot. So the endgame became a whole lot harder for me, but not unwinnable. Darmanitan is certainly an issue, and I need to keep Arcanine alive for Cloyster, as they get double protect again, which is quite annoying. But I still think I value Toxicking. That thing is really destroying me. So unfortunately I think I actually lose to Lapras. The double protects were definitely not in my favour. As that does no damage. I do get the burn, which doesn't make too much of a difference. But here I think I bulk up, and I think I have to rely on High Jump Kick to win the game. So they protect turn 1, please don't get a second turn protect again. Nice. So I managed to get a KO there. As Darmanitan comes out. Now unless that's banded, I should live a hit, I think. Yeah, nice, I lived the hit. And I can kind of sucker punch here again. They go into Avalugg, which is okay. Pyro Ball gets the KO here. And if they go into Cloyster, I think Pyro Ball into Sucker Punch should still get the KO. Assuming this connects. Nice. As they Icicle Spear me. Just about missing out on the KO, thankfully. Though the crit was painful. As they do forfeit, so GG. I will pause there till I find a game. In the end game here, what I would have done was click Extreme Speed with Arcanine to take care of Cloyster and Darmanitan. So that was a close one for Mono Ice, and I'll pause till I find another one. So we have a game against Mono Dark. Mono Dark can be a bit tough. Urshifu in general is just very strong, as well as Tyranitar can give my team a lot of trouble. Hydreigon is no walk in the park either. In this game, I obviously value Volcarona so much to be able to click Bug Buzz on a lot of common threats, as well as Cinderace for High Jump Kick to change into Fighting type. Charizard's speed here is also nice, just about outspeeding Urshifu, and Arcanine and Incineroar's Intimidates are pretty good too. So I think here I'll open up Incineroar, as it gives me a nice opening, as they go Hydreigon. I will Toxic this. They may be Specs, as they go Mandibuzz, which is great for me. Letting me Toxic their Mandibuzz is super important. And here I kind of Parting Shot away. Hopefully they don't go Bisharp, as that will activate Defiant and really mess me up. They go Zarude. That's okay with me. So Zarude does outspeed Charizard by a few points. But I think here it kind of lets me set up with Cinderace. And I don't want to sack it so early, but it is important to set Cinderace up. As I do outspeed it, if it's Scarf, it shouldn't be able to want to KO me, especially at -1. So their close combat did no kind of damage. And I'll bulk up again. They're not Scarf. That's good to know, but I will get the KO here. And at +2, I do really threaten a lot. So the fact they swapped into Hydreigon screams to me they're Scarfed. And I value Cinderace too much in the endgame, so I'll go Incineroar here. Has the Earth Power. Unfortunately, they get the Spadef drop, which will KO me. So I have to go Charizard here. Expecting maybe Tyranitar to want to come out. I will double into my own Torkoal. So I should be able to live a hit and get Stealth Rock down here. They T-Wave me, I will yawn. Being able to sleep anything on their team is quite valuable. And I will spin away their hazards here as Hydreigon comes out. So I think in this position I can kind of sack Incineroar. As they go back into Tyranitar, I'll Draining Punch here. It should do a good chunk of damage. Nice, not bad at all. And I will Toxic, hopefully something coming out. So I managed to avoid that, which is super good. And I'll Drain Punch again as Mandibuzz comes out. I'll Knock here, expecting them to U-turn into maybe Bisharp. I don't want to Parting Shot that as T-Tar comes out. That's okay with me, I'll slowly chip that away. I don't value Torkoal too much here in the endgame. Being able to Rapid Spin is nice, but it's not imperative, as it lets me keep up Sun. So in this position I think I have to go Charizard as they go Hydreigon. And a Fire Blast, despite being not very effective, will do a good chunk of damage. Nice, that was so strong. As they Draco me. So Draco puts me in a decent position where I can click Quiver Dance on Volcarona. So they don't fear a Fiery Dance, but the +1 Bug Buzz KOs anyway. That's surprising. I have to be careful with this. I don't want to sack it unnecessarily, but I don't think it's Scarfed based on the fact Hydreigon was, and yeah, Volcarona doing so much there in the end game, so I'm going to pause there till I find another one. So we have a game here against Mono Fighting. In this game, Keldeo definitely gives my team trouble, as well as Urshifu just generally being very strong. But I do love intimidating around as Incineroar and Arcanine, as well as Volcarone's ability to click Psychic towards the end game, knowing now that Bug Buzz can KO Urshifu. Cinderace is also quite good just to spread burns, with things like Pyro Ball that generally just bulk up in my opponent's face. So I think I'll actually open Cinderace here. Komodo was definitely an issue for me, especially if it's Clang or a Soul. But I do love Charizard, who can just click Air Slash. As they open Keldeo. Interesting. I'm going to assume this isn't Scarfed, but if it's Specs I still die, so I'll High Jump Kick to get as much damage off this as possible, as I do miss. Not a good first turn for me at all. They miss too, which kind of makes up for it. Any bit of damage here on Keldeo is very important, and they reveal to me they're not Scarfed, which means my Charizard guarantees outspeeds. I think Air Slash is my best play, as nothing particularly likes taking an Air Slash. Cobalion doesn't mind too much, but I have a lot of swap-ins to Cobalion. And worst case, Keldeo is in range of Extreme Speed or Arcanine in the end game. So that first turn was uneventful, but I guess slightly works in my favour as Hydro Pump also missed. So Conkeldurr comes out here, and does get 2-hit KO by my Air Slash, thankfully, as I completely shrug off Mach Punch. So I expect maybe Cobalion to want to come out here, and probably get down Stealth Rocks. So I'll take out Torkoal here, as they Toxic me. I'll just Lava Plume. If they stay in to get Stealth Rock, they have to eat a Lava Plume, which they don't like. Especially because I can just Rapid Spin this away now. Actually, I should yawn first, but it's okay, it works in my favour, as I managed to remove their hazards. So Komodo comes in here. In case they are Clangor of Soul, I will yawn. Thankfully, yawn isn't affected by soundproof as far as I know. They are Clangor of Soul indeed. Nice. So that kind of forces the thing to swap out or accept the fact it's about to fall asleep, which lets me set up on Volcarona, which can kind of win the end game like immediately. I have to worry about Urshifu. Okay, so they're willing to give me this, it seems. At +2, I win the game. Assuming they're not Focus Sash on something. They wake up turn 2. Not the best for me, but I do think +2 Psychic KOs here. Thanks to me being modest. Modest Volcaronas hits so hard. As Keldeo comes out, so I'll get a bit of HP back with Giga Drain. So the reason I Giga Drain there is just nice for me to maybe live a Focus Sucker Punch if Urshifu has it, as they forfeit GG, so we will pause there till I find another game. So we have a game against Mono Bug, which is definitely quite nice for me. That said, it's not a terribly easy matchup, as things like Volcarona actually give my team trouble, as well as Galvantula and Heracross are all quite tough for my team. So Araquanid is also very, very tough here. I will open up in Cinderace, as they open up Galvantula. I'll Pyro Ball turn 1, just to get rid of this, which is super nice for me. So that being gone is really good. It denies them webs in this game, as they're taking Heracross, and that's okay. Arcanine kind of just eats whatever they throw my way. They unfortunately missed the Stone Edge, which definitely is not good for them. But here I just teleport out on the Volcarona. I value Toxic a lot on this, so I can kind of just Toxic into Parting Shot, assuming it's not Sub, which it doesn't seem to be. I'll just Parting Shot here, as they do Quiver Dance. So why this is good for me is it kind of puts this thing on a timer. And I think I value Stealth Rocks a lot here. Over Lava Plume, because I'm in a position where Arcanine can come out and extreme speed this anyway. Or a Sucker Punch on Cinderace threatens it a lot too, especially after some burn damage. So I will yawn this. They liquidate me, which does very little damage. Unfortunately they get the defense drop, but I will pivot into my Arcanine here to lower its attack. They get the Sticky Web down, and hopefully if they swap out Flare Blitz, kind of gets a KO here as they stay in, but they take a chunk of damage. So unfortunately I have to go back into Torkoal to get my Sun up. And I will go back into Arcanine here. Thanks to Heavy Duty Boots, I do not fear much at all. And Liquidation does no kind of damage. So it is putting them in a bad position. They do Toxic me, good play, but I will Flare Blitz again here, as they don't seem to have any reliable way of recovering HP, and they have absolutely no swap into a Flare Blitz in the Sun. They give me Volcarona, which is super good for me. I also don't worry too much about Heracross, as Charizard still outspeeds their entire team, as it does come out here. I'll just Extreme Speed and get some damage off on it, as they go Stone Edge. Not to worry, because I am Scarf. Air Slash does a lot of damage to kind of everything on their team. It does allow in Caesar, as they take an Araquanid. Assuming that I land Air Slash, it does. Nice. This is definitely a tough matchup for Bug, there's no denying that. So, on this Caesar, I go in Torkoal in case they want a Swords Dance in my face. Which they do. I Lava Plume here. So unfortunately for them, I did live on 1%. Ribombee can still be a bit of an issue in the endgame if it is scarfed, which is not, it's heavy duty boots. So they go straight for a Quiver Dance. Good play there, as that will allow them to outspeed my entire team. Thankfully here, I think Charizard lives a hit, and Air Slash gets a KO, assuming it connects. GG, well played. That was a tough one for them, no denying that, and I was going to pause there till I find another one. So we have a game against Mono Fly, which is cool because that's a type we don't see too often. In this game, Gyarados is definitely a huge issue for me, but other than that, Hawlucha can be trouble, as can Togekiss, but overall, in this game, I think I like Cinderace a lot. Again, just quite a strong Pokemon. Unfortunately, Volcarona is not going to be the best here, but Charizard's speed here can be quite nice. I'll open up with Incineroar, as it can kind of just Toxic anything turn 1. Or Knock Off or Parting Shot to kind of deal some damage to my opponent, as well as stops them opening up for a physical threat thanks to Intimidate. So they go Gyarados turn 1. They might sub here. I will Parting Shot into my Arcanine, I think, as they go Mandibuzz. Interesting play. So I don't particularly want anything getting Toxic here, but I'll try Stealth Rock. Getting Stealth Rock down early would be nice for me. They might be a Defog variant, so I will try and Lava Balloon them to check. As they don't seem to be, so I will Yawn them here, as they are Defog indeed. I'll try get my Stealth Rock down again. This game might not go the best for me. As I said, Gyarados is a huge threat to my team, as Hawlucha comes out. I'll go Arcanine here, expecting them to maybe want to Swords Dance in my face. As they Sky Attack raw, that does no damage. And I kind of just get a Flare Blitz off here. And I get the burn, which is super good for me, allowing me to Morning Sun in their face. So I'll teleport off this one. That burn is very good for me. And I can just teleport pivot into something here. So they stay in. They are -1 and burnt. This might mean it's my best position to try and set up my Volcarona. I do take super effective damage from Acrobatics, which does a lot more than I unfortunately anticipated. Okay, so unfortunately, I'm going to have to go back into Arcanine here. And just Morning Sun to full HP. This does let them get in Mandibuzz and Defog me. On that, I will go in Charizard and click Fire Blast, which misses, unfortunately, letting them Toxic me. So that is not good for me at all. I'll have to try and Toxic them myself and kind of Parting Shot out here. So this game isn't going too much in my favour, but we can pull it back. The burn definitely helped. So they let me Parting Shot the Gyarados, which is nice. I think Cinderace is my best play against this, to bulk up in its face to change my typing. I will be +1 defense. Both Pyro Ball and High Jump Kick aren't very effective here. But that still does great damage, and I get the burn, which is huge for me, because I can just Sucker Punch here and get the KO. Now unfortunately Togekiss is still a massive issue. I don't really have an answer to that. So Orangey is actually really working in my favour here. Presumably they want to Toxic me here, and I'll just go for a Pyro Ball as it's quite strong. as they go for foul play. Don't let me down, Fireball. RNG has been so good for me up until now. Nice. And I will Sucker Punch this, assuming it's Scarfed. Again, as I said, Togekiss could just completely turn this all around for them. I don't value Cinderace too much in the end game, I think. Though it is nice against Corviknight. I will Sucker Punch to get any bit of chip off on Togekiss, as it reveals leftovers, which unfortunately doesn't mean too much for me. I think the best I can hope for here is a Toxic, but they might pivot into Mandibuzz. They go Nasty Plot, letting me get off a Toxic, which is actually kind of big for me. And here I will try and knock their leftovers. So RNG just really favours me this game, so I really can't complain. I don't favour Incineroar too much in the end game here, so I will sack that to get out Volcarona and click Psychic, nicely knocking it out after Toxic damage. So here I think Charizard is my win condition, assuming I can land Fire Blasts. I will yawn this, just to make sure it doesn't get too much damage off of me. And Charizard's Fire Blast kind of wins the game, assuming I can connect twice. 1. And this is Toxic, so worst case scenario, I can Morning Sun stall this to GG. So I feel kind of bad for them. My RNG was really good in that game. So that will be it for today, I think. It was very fun using fire. I did surprisingly well. I was definitely lucky not to run into too much water, not to run into too much, we don't see rock very often, which is good. Not too much dragon either, which is another hugely bad matchup for me. So I'm going to see where I ended up on the ladder here. I was at 1546, so let's just refresh that. And we're going to search for my name. KingKrabz Fire. Search. 1558. How much is that on the ladder? I should check. Alright, get rid of my name. So we're at 1558. So we ended up at 144 on the ladder. Not too bad. Pretty good show overall. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Been good fun for me. Fire wasn't type that I actually wasn't too keen to play. I was kind of worried about playing it. I wasn't sure what type I was going to use, so I decided to really think outside the box with this one. So hopefully you do get some ideas with that. And again, team, as always, team is down below in the description. Feel free to use it, that's why it's there. Discord is also linked down below, so if you enjoy Monotype, definitely go check that out. Come over to the community, start chatting with us, get to know us, get to talk about Monotypes and Pokemon in general. So I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope you all have a fantastic day. Take care.